is recognised. The world's in your debt, and when this disease finishes, hopefully we'll have a chance to thank the people of Wuhan for the role that they played in it.
It's beyond disgusting. It's scary. Gordon Chang is the author of The Coming Collapse of China, and he joins us tonight. Gordon, you've been on this topic for such a long time. Does it surprise you that the World Health Organization, which normal people, me, look at and think, you know, they're keeping the world safe from pandemics, that they're actually acting as a spokesman for the government of China? Does that surprise you?
Well, this has been going on for some time, Tucker, and there have been a number of other things that we've got to be concerned about. So it's not just Bruce Aylward, who, by the way, said that he had absolutely no reason to question China's numbers. It's also Dr. Tedros, who's the Director General, in other words, the #1 guy. In late January, Tedros gave an interview to China's state media saying that Beijing's response was admirable, should be emulated by the rest of the world. And then he said it all showed the superiority of China's socialist system. Well, China has a totalitarian system, and really what he was doing was attacking democracy on behalf of Beijing. So this is really despicable across the board.
I mean, this really matters. This isn't like NBA players kowtowing to the Chinese government. We're in the middle of a pandemic. This is the World Health Organization. Why is nobody... Where is Bill Gates, who's the single largest individual funder? Why isn't he saying anything? Why isn't Google saying anything? Why aren't our leaders saying anything about this?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. This is dangerous because for the last 10 days of January and for the first 10, 15 days of February, the World Health Organization was parroting Beijing's line that no country should enact travel restrictions on China. And that's because there were no travel restrictions, or very few of them, the United States being an exception. What happened was this virus spread even farther around China's borders. So what the WHO has done was it actually helped spread the coronavirus around the world, and it did it on behalf of Beijing.
It's just beyond belief. It's hard to believe those words are true, but they are true. Gordon Chang, thank you for that.
Thank you, Tucker.
You know who isn't surprised by this way? A lot of Chinese Americans who fled the totalitarian government of China. If you talk to a lot of people who came here from there, they will tell you they're not surprised. We should have listened to them earlier. Corrupt global health bureaucrats are not the only ones submitting to the will of Beijing. Democratic Congressman Seth Moulton of Massachusetts, remember that name, has withdrawn his support for a resolution condemning China's communist government. Why would he do that? Well, because it would encourage the racist idea that China's dictatorship is worse than the Trump administration.
The resolution has caused division. The substance, which is not xenophobic at all, overshadowed by President Trump's divisive xenophobic attempts to deflect from his administration's abysmal response to this virus. I apologize for that, and I'm withdrawing my support for the resolution for that reason. I've been someone who's spoken in stark terms about racism in America and the dangerousness of Trump, and so the way the resolution has been used is unacceptable to me.
That guy's a total buffoon. Serving with him, a non-buffoon, that's for sure. Matt Gaetz represents the state of Florida, and we're happy to have him on tonight. Congressman, thanks so much for coming on. It almost feels like he's speaking from a different century, talking about xenophobia and racism, like those are the problems with China. I mean, what planet is this guy on?
We saw the Democratic Party overhype the Russia threat. Now many are cozying up to China. Today's Democrats have become the pro-China party. I would suggest that China doesn't need an apology from Seth Moulton or access to bailouts through the economic relief package, which, by the way, many Chinese-controlled companies are going to be able to get. And they certainly don't need another bite at the supply chain. It was just this weekend that the propaganda arm of the Chinese government was bragging that their genetics experts had gotten fast-track approval from our FDA to send over coronavirus kits. So we need to do a lot more to re-domesticate that. I would suggest China needs a reckoning, not an apology.
Well, that's for sure. And we need a reckoning with the people like Madeleine Albright, the former Secretary of State who's gotten rich flacking for China, or Dianne Feinstein, who had a Chinese spy working for her, and by the way, got rich on the market crash. And I want to ask you about that. So the DOJ is now investigating whether Senator Burr, and I hope Senator Feinstein, used confidential reports to conduct insider trading ahead of the stock market crash. What do you think of this? Is this enough?
Social distancing is not going to be a sufficient penalty for Senator Burr in the United States Senate. He needs to be removed as the intelligence chairman. You think about the Gang of Eight, the group of people who review the most select intelligence in the world. That group now includes Adam Schiff, Richard Burr, and Nancy Pelosi, three of the lowest integrity people in the entire United States Congress. So I think Leader McConnell needs to take action here. And hey, maybe in the next relief bill, Americans can choose $1,200 or stock tips from Senator Burr and Senator Feinstein.
Well, so, I mean, I get that, you know, there are partisan imperatives. Actually, I think North Carolina, the governor is required to appoint a Republican to replace him if he leaves anyway.
Yes.
But why would McConnell, the top senator, why wouldn't he move to remove Burr from the committee chairmanship?
It's unbelievable to think that the committee chairman with oversight over the FBI is being investigated by the FBI. And before anyone draws a foolish parallel to President Trump, he was elected by the people to drain the swamp, whereas Senator Burr is the swamp. He's someone who appears to have used information for personal gain at public expense when he wasn't being honest with the people. And I am shocked that more Republicans are not saying this. Why is every Republican on Capitol Hill not joining me in this call to remove Senator Burr as the intelligence chairman? It makes us all look less credible when we tell the American people that he's the best we've got to review intelligence. It's foolish of us.
He liquidated his entire portfolio, he sold everything, and then kept telling people all was well, the economy's strong, it's totally fine. He's a liar. Congressman, thank you so much for coming on tonight. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Well, across this country, state and local officials aren't simply releasing prisoners back and scaling back police protection. They're also forcibly closing gun stores. They're not protecting you, but they're not allowing you to protect yourself. What does that tell you? We'll tell you after the break. But first, a look at the deserted streets of Chicago from Fox's Mark Jeter.